After this happened on Stephen A. Smith's show, he explained the reason for the invitation.
The primary reason I wanted her on this show was because I was curious as to how she felt as a black conservative, particularly as it pertained to black people, because of the vitriol that I've seen aimed in her direction. Are there times where I feel that she's a bit abrasive? Absolutely. Are there times that I feel she's that way unnecessarily so? Yeah. Even she acknowledged she just don't have time. She's a mother of 3, expecting a 4th kid, preoccupied with a lot of things that occupy ourselves in life. And she don't have patience and tolerance for nonsense and games. That's how she feels.
Okay, first off, Candace Owens has a ton of time for fun and games, all right? She does segments with OnlyFans creators. She roasts her former employer, The Daily Wire, and specifically the show The Comments Section. She's latched on to Amber Rose, a newfound MAGA influencer.
First thing I want to say is Eminem is obviously a gay man. It's very sad that Eminem cleaned out his closet but never came out of his closet. Okay, a lot going on here. I think first and foremost, I just would like to again remind people that he is in fact a struggling internally gay man.
She has called Eminem, quote, a gay man.
I don't think LeBron means to do bad. I just don't think he's that smart. I really do. I think LeBron James is low IQ.
And echoed Donald Trump's exact message on LeBron James. So let's just stop this, all right?
Everybody has their feelings. We have a right to disagree. And again, when we have a lengthier discussion, I will most certainly be a bit more probing and challenging. This wasn't the time for that. My first time meeting her, my first time talking to her, I wanted to hear what she had to say. And I wanted to hear the perspective that she provided to the masses out there and how unapologetic she is in doing so. I got that and I appreciate it, because here's what I want everybody to understand. And I want us to understand that we'll never get far until we learn to do this. No matter what our emotional state of mind is, no matter how turned off we might be over the things that people say and the manner in which they say it. Yes, it's true. Every truth ain't meant to be heard. Yes, it's true. Sometimes it is about the way you say something instead of what you're just saying. But far more often than not, the truth is supposed to usurp everything. And when that young lady speaks, don't even think about challenging her intelligence. Don't even think about challenging her ability to articulate her point of view. You better know what the hell you're talking about when you come at her. That's what I take away.
Yikes. So where to begin? Hey guys, quick break in the action. I have a new show coming out called The Rick Strom Show. It is going to be awesome. I'm interviewing musicians, athletes, producers, writers, journalists, authors, sports doctors. Go check it out at youtube.com/@TheRickStromShow. Also be sure to throw me a follow on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. It can all be found in the description box below. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German, everybody to look a different way. That's not, to me, that's not nationalism. So in thinking about how it could go bad down the line, I don't really have an issue with nationalism. I really don't. I think that it's okay. It's important to retain your country's identity and to make sure that what's happening here, which I think is incredibly worrisome in terms of the decrease in the birth rate that we're seeing in the UK.
But, you know, the thing about Candace Owens is that she's too smart for therapy, as she explained to Russell Brand.
She has too high of an IQ.
Yeah, she said a lot of high IQ individuals can't do therapy, and you're sitting there like, yeah.
Maybe take a second opinion.
I'm going to say that, yeah. I think some IQ individuals need therapy urgently.
She praised Hitler.
Kanye West, he decided to showcase his new Yeezy line during the Paris Fashion Week. And of course, it had to be this. Yeah, White Lives Matter. That's great. He partnered up with conservative advocate Candace Owens. Yeah, they were joining together and wearing their White Lives Matter shirts.
She rose to popularity riding the coattails of peak Kanye pre the public knowing he was a Nazi Kanye, then jumped on the White Lives Matter bandwagon as well.
And I'm actually like staunchly conservative when it comes to the trans debate. And people say, oh, well, even if a person is trans, you should have the decency and the respect to call them by their preferred pronoun. I don't play that game. And what I always say to people is, if you have a mental disorder, that's fine. I don't need to come up to you and tell you that I think you have a mental disorder. That would be rude. Right. But when you have a mental disorder and you're now requiring that I have a mental disorder, right, to meet your mental disorder, that doesn't work for me. Which is to say that if somebody was walking around as a schizophrenic and saying that they were Superman, and then telling me that I was required to treat them like Superman, I wouldn't play the game. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about trans. I think the slope is so slippery, and they find that to be bigotry. No, I'm not going to call you she. I'm not going to call you her just because you're a grown man and you're wearing a wig and a dress. That's literally telling me that I am now required to have a mental disorder because you have one.
And is called being trans a, quote, mental disorder. No pushback, Stephen A. In one word, weak. What's the saying? When people tell you who they are, believe them. He doesn't really have to look far, does Stephen A., to know who Candace Owens is. She would remark glowingly of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. This was a despicable display that follows the trend in MAGAism. She would tout tons of conspiracy theories, including that, quote, the FBI was involved in encouraging violence on January 6th. The criticisms were paramount. Callie Holloway of the Daily Beast, Owens isn't actually there to be white conservatives' emissary to the black community. Rather, she's a tool of racist propaganda and deflection, a black mouthpiece who propagates and validates anti-black talking points while exploiting her own race to shield white racists, like Trump, from charges of racism. More from Holloway. Owens gets trotted out when white conservatives want to illustrate their idea of a good black person, willing to label black culture pathologically broken, claim black people are pretending to be oppressed, and smear Black Lives Matter as domestic terrorists, she would conclude. Owens regularly traffics in misinformation, hypocrisy, and just straight up getting facts wrong. She repeatedly maligned Ahmaud Arbery, R.I.P., once writing he was not, quote, gunned down for the crime of being black, close quote, an assertion that even earned her the ire of other black Republicans and a strangely racist hill to die on, considering the Georgia Bureau of Investigation confirmed that Arbery's white racist murderer called him a effing N-word. She has repeatedly insisted that the exonerated 5 of the Central Park jogger case are guilty, following in Trump's order as well, a contention countered by DNA evidence and the confession of the actual perpetrator. Owens blamed the September shooting of 2 LA police officers on what she labeled the hyperbolic, dishonest rhetoric of Black Lives Matter and her favorite, LeBron James. From Michael Harriot, she embraced Donald Trump's lawlessness while castigating Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and black victims of police brutality as, quote, thugs and, quote, criminals. For Owens, the January 6th insurrection was, quote, virtually nothing, while the Black Lives Matter movement is, quote, about black anarchy. She told a congressional subcommittee that white supremacy and white nationalism is not a problem that is harming black America. So to that, I say, if Stephen A. wants to tout himself as a journalist, I think he has mainly been peddling in the journalism adjacent of entertainment. You can call it entertainment journalism. The fact that he calls himself a journalist and invited Candace Owens to hear her out instead of doing what a journalist would do really is quite telling. We know who this person is because she has been not only relevant, but prevalent in Republican circles and political talk for a while now. So if I were to give this a grade, I would give it a D-. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. and or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.